Okay, everybody, now we're starting here. Now, if you can see by the title, it's exactly as it sounds. What if Cooler replaced Frieza throughout the course of Dragon Ball Z? And what I mean by that is, not only what if Cooler was canon, but what if King Cold actually favored Cooler over Frieza? Now, this is a topic that's, of course, already most likely been done. I mean, you have Cooler, what if he was canon, all over the place. What if the movies were canon, which would include Cooler anyway. But now we have what if Cooler replaced Frieza? As in, what if from the very start Cooler was given command over King Cold's army after he stepped down instead of Frieza himself? And this was a lot of reasons for why this would happen that I will get into as we go on about why King Cold in this scenario would most likely favor Cooler. And we're gonna get into that right about now as the story starts to progress. So sit back, sit tight as we get into this what if Cooler was the leader of the Cooler Force and Frieza was left out to dry. So the story starts off with King Cold and Cooler this time around actually observing over Planet Vegeta. Uh, it had been a tough decision, but eventually King Cold actually come to the decision that Cooler would be the one to take over the planet, to take over his empire for him now that he was stepping down. He would leave all of it in the hands of Cooler. Because Frieza does have more potential than Cooler. It was actually stated by Toriyama himself that Frieza actually can reach higher heights of his power. And even Cooler himself in his movie did mention that Frieza had the edge until he found his fifth transformation. But this time around, that's actually what drives King Cold to want to recruit Cooler more than Frieza for this job position. Because not only does Cooler know what it means to struggle, and not only does he know what it means to lead an army on his own, but now he knows what it means to climb up from the bottom to the top. Because through sheer effort, Cooler's actually managed to work himself faster and harder in this timeline. Meaning now he's surpassed Frieza in power, and whereas Frieza was stagnant and overconfident in his own might. And when the two of them fought for control a few months before, like a month before, Cooler actually defeated Frieza. The only reason he didn't, but he chose not to kill Frieza of his own accord, because that animosity hasn't been built up much over the years. He had the inkling to want to kill Frieza, but he decided he wanted to act like a big brother and just show Frieza the heights he still had to climb. Frieza was a sore loser and decided to shoot Cooler from behind. Cooler quickly deflected the shot, but instead of killing Frieza for his cowardice, he actually knocks him. He just knocks him out and plants him at the foot of his father and goes. King Cold is impressed by Cooler's resilience, resolve, and his incredible restraint. As he kicks Frieza while he's down, telling him to be more like his brother. Frieza just groans as he starts to wake up, and Cold, as his final rule of Emperor, promptly banishes Frieza from his army. Telling Frieza to take his most loyal soldiers and just get out of the galaxy. See, he's an embarrassment not just because of his lack of work ethic, his overconfidence, and his sheer paranoia that anyone could rival him in power, but also due to his just overall absence of any type of honor and integrity that Cooler has just shown. King Cold himself is ruthless and uncaring, at least he has but for the moment he at least has standards. Some standards. Granted, he's now on the back foot. So Frieza, with a huff and vowing vengeance against his entire family, would take his Frieza force, the Ginyu force, and just leave. He would have paid the Ginyu force a hefty sum, of course, but that would be needed as long as the Cooler and the rest could use them. But from that point onwards, Cooler was left with his older, wiser, more mature, and much more mentally stable son. So with pride in his eyes, he looks over Planet Vegeta and tells Cooler that the monkeys are now his to control as he sees fit. Cooler would look down at Planet Vegeta, and he would actually smirk to himself. He had heard about these Saiyans. He had actually worked with them before this, and now that he was actually technically in charge of them at this moment and time from here onwards, he would be sure to whip them into shape. They were already starting to get incredibly powerful. When unlike Frieza, the Cooler would actually be much more in touch with the Saiyans due to his higher attention to detail. So when King Cold would introduce this, basically tells Cooler, hey, these people are now under your control, they're part of the Cooler Force. Cooler would take that extremely seriously, because Cooler is actually very kind and generous to his men. He's stern and demanding, of course, but he's fair, unlike Frieza. In fact, the whole time we've seen him, he's never once shot, berated, or been overly cruel to his people like Frieza would have been. Then he's always stern but kind, considerate, and who even come and help them out if they're fighting a force that's above them. So Cooler's a way better leader by example, and by status and appearance and accents than Frieza could ever hope to be. Cooler and King Cold would take the ship down to the palace so that Cooler could be formally introduced to the king of the Saiyans, King Vegeta, and Prince Vegeta. Cooler would follow his father as the ship would be set down, and the two of them would soon come face to face with the palace, where King Vegeta and his royal guards would actually come face to face with Cooler and King Cold. Cooler and King Cold both make their way down to the planet Vegeta below. However, as they neared, Cooler would actually take the initiative and would actually ask King Cold to stay on the ship as he went down to introduce himself to the Saiyans personally. King Cold, already liking Cooler's initiative far more than Frieza's, would be more than proud of his son as he inclined on his chair and sipped his wine. Better Cooler dealt with those monkeys than himself, after all. King Vegeta would be waiting there with his entourage, and he would actually be surprised that they were on time. And that there was only one of them, King Cold's eldest son, Cooler. Cooler would look at the Prince King Vegeta as King Vegeta extended a hand for him to shake. Cooler would look at the hand and stare at it for a couple seconds. Before King Vegeta would put it down, Cooler would actually extend his own hand and he would shake it, but not a very friendly handshake, but more of a handshake to establish dominance as he puts King Vegeta's hand down, and Vegeta can't really move his hand unless Cooler allows it. This wasn't just meant to show the other Saiyan that he respected them enough to, shake a hand, but that to show King Vegeta that he's still stronger than him. But as he releases the hand, he then looks at the king, and he addresses all the Saiyans. Hello, Saiyans. As of today, I am now the leader of King Cold's army, and all of you have been placed under my care. He speaks eloquently as he addresses every single Saiyan around him. Make no mistake, to me you're all still a bunch of weak monkeys, but together I hope we can change that. As of today, all of you are now officially a part of the Cooler Force, and I do not tolerate any weakness within the Cooler Force, nor do I tolerate any disloyalty, dishonesty, or especially not betrayal. Follow these 3 rules, and I assure you your time under me will be plentiful and beneficial to us all. Go against me, and well, I think all of you already know the answer. And just to show he's not bluffing, he would hand King Vegeta a newly made scouter. King Vegeta would check Cooler's power level, see it's only 5,000, and this would almost make him jump a bit into Cooler just heightened his power to over 2 million and broke the scouter. Are we clear on this? King Vegeta. King Vegeta would just nod hurriedly as Cooler would just ask for a tour of this planet. King Vegeta would actually lead a tour across the planet for Cooler. Cooler would see how the Saiyans live, how they eat, what they do. He would even find out about the myth of the Super Saiyan among them. Well, more so hushed whispers as the Saiyans were wondering if a Super Saiyan would come and help them from the Frost demons, but to Cooler it just sounded more like some mythical mumbo jumbo, so he didn't pay. So while he did take it into account, it was the furthest thing from his mind in terms of importance. He really couldn't. Unlike Frieza, he's nowhere near as paranoid, but he does take into account the Super Saiyan myth. Then afterwards, Vegeta shows Cooler finally the Saiyan infancy part, the infant Saiyans. Cooler actually looks at the Saiyan infants and sees that some of them are in cradles, whereas some of them are in nursing capsules. One that's in a nursing capsule actually does catch his eye, as he can sense this child's incredible power. King Vegeta apparently does it too, because he stops fawning over his son Prince Vegeta, and looks over to the one that Cooler is looking at. Cooler looks at a little Saiyan doctor, and he asks, "You Saiyan woman, who is this child here?" She would quickly look at the sensor and at the name, and she would read Broly, sir, son of Paragus. Cooler could sense that this child had a power that was already rivaling Saiyan class warriors. Then again, not that they were that strong to begin with, but the fact that this infant Saiyan child already had that was immense. Cooler put his hand to the glass, and somehow sensing a possible threat, the infant Broly would actually start screaming as his power started rising. 20,000, 30,000, 100, until the scout eventually broke past 250,000. Needless to say, Cooler was intrigued, whereas King Vegeta was already making plans to get rid of the child. Cooler, however, would do it for him. He would just look. Cooler, being able to read the mood, would actually look at King Vegeta and be like, "My kid, would you mind if I took this child off your hands? I can take care of the father too." King Vegeta actually would allow this, because not only does he not want Broly there, if he can get rid of Paragus too, who is likely to make a big fuss of this, then this is fair game for him. So he pretty much just gives them over to Cooler. Also, if he didn't, Cooler would probably just take them by force. So Paragus and Broly are now under Cooler's direct control. Paragus is none too excited that Vegeta just threw them out like trash just because his son happened to be a bit stronger, but he doesn't want anywhere near the level of revenge that he wanted in the original. He's still sore about this, though. And then after this, they saying Cooler actually wants an update of how powerful the Saiyans get all the time. Not because he's paranoid, but purely because he just wants to know how strong his soldiers are. He has no reason to be in his mind. He has no reason to be paranoid. He's already stronger than every single Saiyan there. Even if they all teamed up against him, he'd be able to take them down, no problem. Because due to him actually having trained, no, actually I'll save that tidbit for later. So now, Cooler just takes the infant Saiyan Broly and Paragus back onto his ship with King Cooler himself, already smiling to himself about the potential this child could have. As he looks back, he just tells King Vegeta that if he's so worried about an infant, is he truly the strongest Saiyan on the planet? And if so, maybe he should do some push-ups and sit-ups and drink a little juice. Then maybe he'll grow some bigger, what do you Saiyans call it? Call them balls? I'll see you later, King. King Vegeta sits on his throne surrounded by his elite guards. As he ponders what Cooler, as one is fuming over Cooler just blatantly assaulting him to his face like that, but also he's contemplating what he should do next. And it actually hurt that despite as much as he wanted to resist what Cooler was saying, it was true. He was scared of Broly, to the point where he got rid of a colonel, like, when he was actually willing to either get banished or kill a Saiyan infant. He didn't really care much about wanting to commit infanticide, because he literally used to destroy entire planets for fun. But the fact that someone made him do that out of fear instead of because he wanted to do it, that to him was unacceptable. And then he started thinking more about what Cooler said. I won't have any weak soldiers in the Cooler Force. King Vegeta was still completely appalled at having anything to do with the Cooler Force. Cooler, Cold, Frieza didn't matter. The Saiyans shouldn't have to answer to anyone thing. However, King Vegeta has been compared to having a brain of a Tuffle, and he knows that for the time being, it's far better to be under Cooler's control than to be under Frieza's or King Cold's, especially Frieza's. If what Cooler had told him while they were traveling together was true, Frieza probably would have killed them in a few days. Cooler said that King Vegeta tried to make it into a joke until Cooler just stared at him with a cold stare. That was no joke. Cooler then told King Vegeta about the paranoia Frieza had about the Saiyans and how that contributed into their father banishing him from the galaxy. So if anything, King Vegeta should be thankful to him and his father. They can be thankful by getting stronger and stop being some of the weakest soldiers they have on the force. And as he instructed King Vegeta to help him explore the Saiyan homeworld of planet Vegeta a bit more. What's cooler punned about, I guess you can call this planet nepotism instead, King. King Vegeta actually started thinking, should he actually take himself down a step to train? It was technically King Vegeta wasn't against training, of course. The lower class of the Saiyan elite, the lower Saiyan ranks actually were mandatory for them to train on other planets. But that wasn't really training, was it? That was them just going to different planets, killing the populace, getting Zenkais, and coming back stronger after almost dying. But when Cooler said training, did he mean actual training? And King Vegeta knew a soldier when he saw one. The way Cooler held himself, the way Cooler presented himself, he wasn't just some stuck-up frost demon. He was a literal soldier. He was a warrior. Yeah, he had pride, honor, and callous nature that would make even Saiyans proud. Cooler was a fighter, and King Vegeta could tell from the way he carried himself and the way he moved that he had been through a lot of combat training. Could that have been how he dethroned Frieza and how he took over from King Cold? As King Vegeta started to mold this over, he actually decided to go about the task of getting through everyone's power levels as of now. So he asked a Saiyan attendant to bring him the latest power scouter readings from the mandatory scouter readings. He wanted to say, and immediately one name caught his eye. Bardock, power level 10,000. King Vegeta immediately stopped there. He had specifically asked for the higher battle powers to be listed first, and Bardock was right on top of it. Bardock was third only to him, second only behind Prince Vegeta, who King Vegeta himself was second behind. But Bardock was quite possibly the third strongest person on this planet as of right now. Now, with a power level of 10,000, after having come back from a dangerous mission, Cooler had actually sent them on. Could sent them on. He just stared at it, and then he looked at how Prince Vegeta only had a power of 18,000. The Prince of the Saiyan race was only plus 8,000 more than a low-class warrior. Who was a low-class warrior that was actually stronger than any of Bardock's guards that he had surrounding him. And if King Vegeta's guards he had surrounding him. King Vegeta looked up at his guards, and then he looked at Bardock. And then he instructed one of his guards to go fetch this low-class Saiyan warrior, Bardock, for him. He had the elites did so without question. And as Vegeta sat back in his throne once more, he had a plan. He wasn't going to do it because Cooler told him to, but he needed to do it because the Saiyan race would get any better and would eventually get out from under the thumb of the Frost Demons forever. They would need to bulk up. They would need to buff up. They would need to train. And this Bardock could very likely be the key to helping him do that. And that should do it for the first installment of What If Cooler Replaced Frieza. Now, this is one of my first ever what ifs I've ever done in this type of style, and I hope all of you enjoyed it. Yeah, let me know if you want me to continue this what if, and if you want to see it completed, smash that like button, hit that subscribe button. Let's see if we can get this to at least 25 likes. Should probably be enough for first go. Spread the word around, and we'll see how Cooler being in control of the Saiyans would actually change the entire fate of the Dragon Ball universe. For better, for worse? Well, just wait and see, and I'll catch you later, my faithful brothers.